Yes, hi, hello. Welcome back to Gooncast. Kat, I hate you.
Ah, hey, hey now. This was your plan.
Excuse
Sort of.
one of them. The first one was mine.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
I'm Kat, aka the Attack Cat on Twitch. And yeah, we're here for corn and corn alone.
Yeah, I hope my mic is picking me up well enough because this is the first time I've tried recording on location from deep in the corn.
And how is it over there on the scene?
It's a rough political climate, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we're here to talk about corn politics.
Hell
Goddamn
yeah.
right.
That may sound
And,
stupid, but I'll provide context when we get into it.
I mean, no, it sounds stupid because it is stupid.
It is, but I mean, it sounds insane, and then I explain
Yeah.
it, and then it's even more insane. But at least it makes
and
sense.
and you may think that the context will clear some things up, but you would be mistaken. This is why we did not clarify some statements about the Irish in our last episode.
Yeah, this was this episode probably was supposed to have been done like a couple weeks ago, but just
Yeah.
I mean, at least me, I was very angry.
I mean, that's understandable.
Wait, is that why you,
Well, partly busy, but also angry. I didn't want to talk.
Okay.
I hated the idea. I was so mad. I was so mad.
Understandable.
Uh-huh.
We'll give some context.
Yes.
But yeah, for my part of this this whole ordeal, this is your boy Lee Alder, the Valley Jester. I'm very confused, man, today. I don't want to state my qualifications because I feel like I have
Yeah.
no ground to speak upon corn politics here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so who wants to so we have
I'll kick
we
things off because I also haven't introduced myself
we
yet.
have Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I'm Saber.
Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. But like, so this started specifically because I was watching various different YouTube videos, and just one video from a channel I had never watched before called Horror Culture popped up into my feed, and the video was "The Children of the Corn movies are terrible," and I was like, "This is known, sure, but fuck it, it's talking about Children of the Corn, let's throw it on." And he's specifically discussing the original 1980s film, the made-for-TV, I think, remake, and then the more recent remake that I had completely forgotten about that was supposed to come out in theaters, I guess, in 2020.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened, and instead of doing what everybody did, which is put it on streaming, the studio decided to sit on it for 3 years, despite it being a piece of shit, before getting it out into theaters. And that's what we watched. And specifically, like, I got through like his discussion of the first two movies, and I was listening to his discussion of the most recent remake. And I got to he started talking about how the movie is about corn politics. And I quickly turned off the video. I was like, this sounds really dumb. I want to watch this. Because we've been looking for garbage to watch because 2023 has been too good for movies.
There's been too much
good media.
Too much quality content that we've been consuming.
Yeah,
so.
and our worst of lists were looking a little barren. So I was like, hey, this movie's about corn politics. This sounds like it could be dumb and entertaining. And then we watched it, and it was dumb and entertaining. And we had the bright idea of pairing this with other corn-related movies, which Kat picked out. And that's why I'm angry.
I need you all to chew on that idea for a moment, folks. We were initially planning on an all corn-themed episode of the Gooncast.
And two of the movies were so bad that it delayed us to the point where we actually consumed two other things that we're going to talk about as well.
And I don't mean corn like backwards K90s new metal legends.
We don't mean like corn as in like
the vegetable,
yeah,
folks.
Yeah, the vegetable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
It's great.
I love that I feel like I've recommended a couple of things that you guys really like. Erased is one that I know I recommended and you guys really like.
Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yes. but I feel like my legacy is Grave Encounters 2 and The Maze.
Excuse me. And also, there's someone inside your house.
Okay, so, but that one didn't make you as mad, right?
No, it made me just as mad.
Oh, it made you just okay.
No,
okay,
I'm
cool. Then we got a lot
both
to
of
talk
them.
about
I'm
because
livid at both of
here's
them.
the thing.
Then we got a stew going.
The thing I recommended about There's Someone Inside Your House is that like I barely remembered that movie. All I remembered was that the climax took place in a cornfield, and I was like, it's perfect.
That's our criteria.
Yeah. Is
Now-
corn involved? Sign
Now,
us up.
Perhaps you can all see why this did not maybe pan out for the most enthusiastic of episodes we were going to record a couple weeks ago.
It was a really dumb idea that I had.
Now, I guarantee you,
And
everybody.
then I butchered further.
I guarantee you all, for those of you who just started listening to this episode, the other two pieces of media we have to discuss in this episode are quite good, but we are going to make you navigate the corn maze first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, I suppose for context,
You gotta eat your vegetables before you can get to your dessert.
That's right.
Children of the
Clean your
Corn.
plates.
Children of the Corn, for those who are unaware, is like a short story, I believe, by Stephen King that got turned into a horror movie and spawned a really long series of shitty horror movies. Like there's like fucking like 7
There's a
or 8
lot
of
of
these
them.
fucking Children of the Corn movies.
Mhm.
And this is the most recent one, which is a reboot. And I haven't seen the original in years, and I have never read the short story. I haven't seen the previous remake, but I remember enough about the original to know that the only thing that this movie has in common with the source material is corn and he who walks behind the rows and killer kids. That's it.
Yes.
Other than that, it's a completely it almost serves like as an unrelated origin story. It could have almost maybe been an origin story for the town of Gatlin if it wasn't a standalone thing that's really dumb but funny.
Yes.
The funny thing right off the bat is that if you ask people if they've seen Children of the Corn, their knee-jerk reaction, if they're like a horror fan, is always, "Oh yeah, of course I've seen Children of the Corn. Like, who hasn't?" And most of the time, these people are actually thinking of Village of the Damned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right. You're right.
I feel like they are very easily confused.
They are. That's the one where they're all born on the same day, right?
Yeah, they're
and
alien.
They, like,
they're
speak
alien
in
shithead
unison
kids.
and-
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I remember of the two Murder Children movies, because I feel like I watched them very close together when I first saw Children of the Corn. I did prefer Village of the Damned, but I do remember Children of the Corn.
Which
Because-
Village of the Damned did you see? The original or the remake?
The 80s one?
90s
90s.
with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, the only thing I remember was the creepy little white-haired kids.
Yeah, well, you watched the John
Yeah.
Carpenter joint.
Oh, very cool.
The one from the 60s fucking slaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was
Okay,
that was
well.
Christopher Reeve's last movie before he became paralyzed, if I'm not mistaken. It
Oh,
also has a
shit.
rare non-Star Wars performance from Mark Hamill. I believe he plays a priest in that remake as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to rewatch that because the only thing I remember
the
was
movie
the
was
kids.
stupid, but
Yeah.
it was funny. The movie starts out with
Get this piece of shit out of the way so we can get to the good material.
Absolutely.
this kind of teenager, like you see this shit little girl like playing outside of like an orphanage or whatever, and this like shithead kid comes in from like the cornfield. Forgot if he's covered in blood or not. He has like a knife or something. I don't fucking remember. He says some stupid shit and he goes inside and then off camera starts murdering the adults inside the orphanage, the staff members and stuff. So law enforcement arrives, right? Now what would be the sensible thing you would think for law enforcement to handle this situation? Like
Kill the children.
Yeah, that's basically what they literally just gas the entire building and kill all the fucking orphans, even though by this point, as far as we're aware, none of the kids are involved except for this one dude. Yeah, so we're literally starting out in the funniest way possible with child murder.
Calm down, Ghoul Guts.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Calm down. And the only survivor is the little shit kid. If I recall, doesn't she make a bunch of Alice in Wonderland references?
Yes,
She's
she
obsessed
does.
with the Red Queen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways, it's like crash cut to like a few years later or whatever, or maybe months later. I don't fucking care. And the corn culture is on the decline, and the government's gonna pay the adults to remove all their corn, and the kids don't like that, and the kids want to say in the vote. So we get a scene of a bunch of adults bullying literal 8-year-olds who want to say in keeping the corn.
Yeah, the kids want to go, we have a voice, we're people, we demand to be heard, and a bunch of like cranky old white people are going, no, you don't understand the corn culture.
Yeah, it's like an entire...
It's a really deep metaphor for our current social climate.
It's an entire like 5 to 10 minute scene of corn politics and children being bullied by adults. And also our lead, she's like a teenager, and she's like she's trying to get out of town so she can like, you know, not live in corn, and like she wants to leave her family behind. And I mean, I don't know if it's the direction or maybe it's her, but she has like one facial expression where she looks like she's on the verge of tears throughout the entire fucking movie. Even before even before like shit hits the fan. And she is also on the side of keeping the corn. She's really interested in corn, despite also wanting to leave.
I need to make a quick note about her almost like on the verge of tears face. If you go to Children of the Corn 2020's IMDb page, the first picture that pops up is that actress with about to cry face.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
I love it. I am here for it. Yeah. So then, you know, they have their big stupid like town hall thing, and then she gets it in her mind that we can somehow get some famous reporter to come to the town to shame the adults with like an article about like, you know, corn and what the adults are doing. And they look at her skill set, and I brought up a screenshot of this because it's like, you know, oh yeah, she's a news anchor, Sheila Boyce, and it's like not LinkedIn, and her skills are presenting, communications, researching, and journalism. And it's like journalism's a job that shouldn't be in the skill set thing, as far as I'm aware anyway. But it doesn't matter. Dumb kids doing dumb kid shit, and then the kids convince the older teenager people to be like, hey, we got to teach the adults a lesson, and they go along with it, and then the teenager realizes, oh no, they're actually going to murder all the adults. A bunch of stupid shit happens, and there's a spooky corn demon made out of CGI, and it's really funny. At one point, the corn demon rips a person in half and like kind of like shakes it over the cornfield. It's like it doesn't even seem to eat people. It just rips them in half and like shakes their bodies over the cornfield. I don't know.
Feeding them blood. It's feeding its brothers and sisters the corn blood.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other stupid shit that happens. Cornfield sets on fire, and a spooky CGI dead kid jump scare who turns our crying face teenager into corn or something.
Oh yeah.
I might have skimmed over a lot of it. I don't know. It's on Shudder. Shudder's like $5. Shudder sponsor us.
Doesn't the entire cornfield blow up at the end?
Yeah, they set it on fire.
It burns down.
Yeah. Which is what inspired me to recommend the next couple movies.
Yeah.
Because that cornfields burning, or cornfields / mazes burning down, is kind of the through line there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. So I have very vague memories of the first adaptation, like the first movie. right? With the weird preacher kid. And the thing that bothered me, I think, the most about this one was how heavily they leaned on like the like spirit of the corn bullshit. Because it was just kind of like, why? You know?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Corn politics.
Yeah.
Stupid little kids who.
But like they,
And the little girl,
the whole climax of the movie is this like CGI monster showing up, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck is this shit? Like Cloverfield?
To our lead villain's credit, not the corn monster, but like the little girl. Like she's a little girl, and like she seems like badly directed.
Yes.
Where she's not coming across as threatening or scary or intimidating, just more of like an annoying little shit kid.
Yeah, we talked about this, that she seems like a really good actress.
Yeah.
But the way she's being told to act in this specific role just isn't particularly compelling for a villain.
Yeah, that's my complaint with it, is like there's a lot of scenes where you can tell she'd be perfectly cast for this character and like trying to be the unhinged like psychopath, speaker for the corn. But you can tell just like something about the direction and the way she's being told to do X, Y, and Z is just not translating well.
Yeah. It's
definitely falls on the adult directors, not the child actor. We're saying she was very good. It's just that she was directed terribly.
Don't be the townsfolk. Don't bully the kids.
Yes.
Even though the dead kids are funny, don't bully kids.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is a Stephen King joint.
Yeah.
Like, we have to bully the kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do.
You know what? True.
But it's normally kids bullying kids, not, or, like an instance of a parental figure being an asshole. Not an entire town hall being like, little kid thinks they have an opinion about corn. Little kid about to cry. Little kid. It's like, what is this shit?
They think they know corn.
It's really dumb, but it was funny and it was entertaining. At least I thought. Anyway, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but
yeah, no, it was definitely fun to poke fun of or to get mad at. So
yeah,
I mean, if you have Shudder, why not?
I mean, this one, it's kind of hitting on brand for Kurt Wimmer. Like he's the writer-director. He's done some good films and he's done some bullshit.
What has he done?
He wrote and directed Equilibrium.
Oh.
He did Law Abiding Citizen with Gerard Butler.
Oh.
But then at the same time, he's also responsible for Ultraviolet. And Salt.
Yeah. I was gonna say like that already, like all of those are like borderline, like where like each of them kind of like basically like lies on this like fucking, very thin line of like Equilibrium obviously tilts into good, but it's
still kind of like a questionable movie.
Exactly, it's still kind of jank, and you're kind of like, okay, like when you first see it, you're like, oh, Gunkata's cool, and then you like stop for a minute, and you're like, wait, this is actually the stupidest thing I've ever seen on screen. But like when you're in the moment, you're just like, yeah, it's
great. It's fun. I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember very much enjoying Equilibrium. It's just a dumb action movie.
Yeah. The best part is the fucking Christian Bale getting licked by that puppy.
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene.
It's great.
It's that stupid I think he's a Saint Bernard or something like that.
Yeah.
Puppy. Just like being like, be happy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Unless we have more to say, we got a lot of corn to talk about. Do we have any final thoughts on Children of the Corn, or do we have anything more we want to say?
I'm gonna give out about one more thing, and that's that we don't need to see the fucking monster.
No, it's better.
Yes.
It's better when you don't.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like you guys reminded me that like the original had a supernatural element, but it was like at the very end, right?
Very end, and it was done with
like,
it. The effect
subtle.
the effect was shit, but it was
a kid was being crucified,
and like black red.
It was like
effects.
It was like red energy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a shitty effect, but it was vague enough.
Yeah, exactly. It was supposed to be like kind of vague and like kind of like, oh, you don't actually know. Like it basically confirmation that like something else was happening here, but you don't actually get told like it is this corn monster. But this movie just like lays it all out in terrible CG. Sorry, Lee, you were saying.
No, it's all good. I did some frustrated digging because this was just bugging me enough. I had to do a little looking into it. And apparently they do show the monster in the third Children of the Corn movie.
Yeah, we don't talk about those sequels.
Oh.
Urban Harvest.
We don't talk about them.
Oh.
Where apparently
Okay.
they do give you a look at the monster, and it's just a dreadful piece of like schlock.
Yeah, it sounds
Cool.
about right. I do
mean,
remember discussing the title Urban Harvest and liking it enough.
Which great name. Name. It's very Jason Takes Manhattan.
I was gonna say it's like, yeah.
Or Leprechaun in the Hood.
But,
yeah.
But I mean, the idea behind He Who Walks Behind the Rose is part of the bigger like Stephen King mythos of they're all the same character. They're all this same supernatural, like satanic being. Randall Flagg, He Who Walks Behind the Rose, like a bunch of different villains from his other stories are all implied to be the same evil character just popping up and getting up to no good. But I feel like if you're just representing this omnipresent, omniscient being as a CG cornstalk monster, I feel like you're missing the corn maze for the
stalks.
Look, there's an analogy in there somewhere, and I'm not going to waste my brain cell on this fucking movie.
Yeah, you gotta waste your brain cells on our next two.
Hey, all right. So which one?
Order.
Which one do we want to talk about first?
So we're talking about the movie that fucking lies.
Thank you for this one, Kat.
Yeah. You're welcome. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me give my history with this real quick, and then somebody else can explain what happens in it. So this is a Netflix movie. And it's called There's Someone Inside Your House. That is the title of it. I remember watching it, and then I immediately forgot the title because I was just like it's such a generic title, first of all, and second of all, it only applies to maybe 20% of the film.
Not even. It applies to the first scene of the movie, and that's it.
The first scene of the movie, and then they try to like tease you with like the main character hearing like her grandma or aunt, I forget how they're related.
Grandma.
Her grandma like moving around at night, and then it's like, oh, that wasn't grandma. Oh no, there's somebody else here. But like, it's never somebody else actually.
Yeah.
Until like the very end.
Yeah, it's yeah. The title is why part of the reason why I'm so fucking angry is because the title implies like, oh, this could be like a When a Stranger Calls type moment, you know, like, or the
right?
babysitter and the man upstairs, or like some sort of like thriller of like trying to evade or survive while like, you know, somebody's trying to break in, or like, you know, that movie Hush with the deaf lady, you know, something like that. That's kind of what I was expecting
great movie.
from the title, and instead we get. Because apparently this is based on a novel, and I'll get into that in a second. Yes. But like, we get the first scene of it, the movie doing that, and then the rest of the movie is none of that, and it's boomers thinking how millennials talk, and it's really, 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 really pandering and dumb, and it's like this. The fake woke bullshit that Hollywood tries to do.
Yes. And like, they also very explicitly like most of the initial murder so like the whole like the gist of it is there's a serial killer in town who is targeting people with secrets.
Yeah.
And like initially the secrets are like the first guy who dies, I think he like bullied a kid and like beat him almost to death or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the second girl who dies is like
A closeted racist or something?
yeah, like she puts on a face where she's like trying to pretend to be like the super with it like class president type like
Yeah.
like A type person where like there's a scene where she goes out of her way to like call out the like non-binary person in class and be like we're so supportive but like using really coded language that's like oh she's actually not supportive of it. And then like her death scene is like she's in church getting stuff ready and the serial killer shows up and starts playing a podcast that is like themed around like the KKK and it's really clear that it's her voice on the podcast and it's really clear that like she's like a horrible racist like to cartoony levels
Yeah.
of
Like
horrible
her
racism.
favorite Final Fantasy character is Waka.
yeah, it was just like it was so like outlandish and then like and you think like okay maybe they'll actually do something about that with that because like I know there have been a couple of movies like I mean Bodies was one that I mentioned that like it on the surface it does seem like that like boomers writing millennials or not millennials boomers writing Gen Z type thing but like once you actually start like if you actually get into it and watch it like it's like oh this is kind of actually a critique of this culture and like it's like but and done in a really clever way so like at first you're like oh maybe that's where they're going but no it's not.
Yeah, the next victim is like a secret drug addict, I think.
Yeah,
I don't
it's like
remember. And then it.
it's like nothing and it happens at a they have a party at one of their friends' mansions.
Who's a dude who like gets picked on all the time, but he's still like cool enough that he throws a party and the entire school shows up.
And he has a closet of Nazi memorabilia that everybody gets excited about.
His dad collects Nazi memorabilia that he has then converted into things to smoke weed out of. So yeah, why not? And then yeah, at this house party, the serial killer shows up and murders like one of their friend group because he did drugs or something.
He was as far as I recall, he wasn't like a drug addict. He was a pill popper that it seems like started as a legitimate thing he had to do and then like got carried away with it. I don't remember exactly.
It doesn't. It's fuck.
Yeah. It was very weird. But you all might be wondering why it's on this this Korn podcast.
Yes, and that's because the star is Sydney Park, who is also in our favorite film, Wish Upon.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct. But so she plays this girl who her big secret is that she like almost burned a girl to death in a like
there was
like a hazing thing. It was
a hazing at a bonfire.
But it was she was getting hazed and then like while she was getting hazed she shoved one of the girls into the fire.
Yeah,
right? She wasn't doing the hazing.
Yeah, she shoved the girl to get her off of her and the girl fell in the fire. And it was really from what I remember it was comically like Stephen King high school bullying of a hazing ritual and I was like come the fuck on, all right?
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
But anyways,
so get to the corn
maze.
Yeah. Yes. So the climax of the movie happens in a cornfield, which they do set up beforehand because she goes with the like school shooter guy who we haven't mentioned before then. He's the big red herring of the movie.
Yeah, and everybody keeps going, oh, he looks like a school shooter.
Yeah, he's totally the serial killer because he looks like he'd be a serial killer and it's like, yeah, he's not. He's obviously not. But yeah, so they go to this corn maze. There's also I think some element of corn politics in there where like they're talking about like people selling off like the rich kid's dad has been buying people's land. like running them off
So,
the
yeah,
farmland
it
or
does
something like that.
some stupid shit like that. Yeah.
Whatever. It ties in even more than we had thought initially, but yeah, and then the climax of the movie is the serial killer is revealed, and it's the rich kid with the mansion, and he like kills his dad and has a big monologue. And all this happens while the corn maze is burning.
Yeah,
in the
and they
background.
drove a car into
They
a
drive
burning
a car
corn
through
maze.
the burning corn maze. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's one of the it's the only reason I remembered this movie, because it was one of the dumbest fucking climaxes I had seen in recent memories.
I really fucking hated this movie because every character was fucking insufferable, and just the title was a lie and the movie was dumb, and then looking into it, and I mentioned this to you guys a few weeks ago, like the day after we watched this fucking movie. Because Wikipedia doesn't have a fucking plot summary of the novel, but I found a plot summary of the novel, and assuming that this is accurate, outside of this, the title and from what it seems like, there's a handful of the characters who are the same. It's a completely different product, and the killer is completely different, and the motive for the killer is completely different, and the hazing ritual, the tragic hazing ritual thing, right? It's actually much more turned down and like makes sense. Like, hold on. Yeah. So like the hazing ritual in the novel is she actually was part of the hazing ritual, and she viciously cut her ex-best friend's hair with a knife, and she got charged with assault.
Oh, yeah, that's much more
that tracks.
Like, yeah, exactly.
That's
because one, it's like it's not insane levels of bodily harm, but two, it is something that like if somebody wanted to, they could charge you with assault.
And that's not outside the realm of plausibility.
Exactly.
The killer, I don't think there's a representation of the killer's character. The killer's some dude named David. I don't see anybody named David in the cast list of this movie. And apparently David's motivation, I guess, in the book is he's basically attacking people who kind of like have aspirations to leave the town and kind of have like talent to like leave and whatnot. Not some everybody's got a secret and From what I can tell,
you can't leave Corn Town.
The title is still a fucking lie, because it's also called "There's Someone Inside Your House," and the novel's not fucking about that outside of like the opening fucking scene.
Damn it, guys.
So even the novel gets that
but wait,
wrong.
how can this title possibly be a metaphor? What if the house
is corn? It's the house is corn.
I was gonna ask you guys.
Oh, the corn maze is in the novel, according to the summary.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you guys could retitle this movie to better fit, what would you call it?
Obnoxious assholes being pretentious.
I would do a play off of the fact that it's about social representation and the fact that the killer makes masks out of like to mimic the victim. I would call it The Masks We Wear.
Ooh, that's really good.
I would call it Dirty Little Secret.
Ooh.
Okay.
I would call it Liar, Liar, Corn on Fire.
Hey, that's the best.
Print it.
It's not too late to change the title of the episode. Oh my! Now you know what? Just because of that, I now want to put this in the Goonflix watch history thing.
Okay. Excellent. I'm sorry, everyone else. You're gonna be just as mad.
Yeah, this movie,
as all of us were.
This movie made me so fucking mad, and it's just lazy garbage from fucking hack screenwriters who fucking are trying to like get backpats, and like they don't know how kids talk. It's really dumb, and I hate it. Just write them like normal fucking people. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
just stop it.
Seriously.
Stop it. I hate this movie. I hate it. I've already blocked out so much of the movie, and the little I can remember of it is like coming back and making me angry.
What is it about like with movies like this that it's so easy for the characters to become like caricatures? Like they just I adore the interview that George Martin did. I forget what talk show he was on, but the interviewer asked him, like, George, you're renowned for writing some of the best like female characters in fiction, and a lot of guys apparently have a problem writing female characters. Like, what's your advice to them? And he says, like, well, first I treat them like human beings.
Yeah. He's like, first I consider women people.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, guys, like
it's a bunch of just really fucking incompetent people who think that they're too smart or something. I don't fucking know.
It also really smacks of, like, especially in this case, since it's from Netflix. Like, I feel like Netflix has this problem where there's some committee basically of like CEOs who are like, we have a checklist and we want, like, these are the things that we want from a Netflix original. And occasionally you get stuff that slips through, like Mike Flanagan stuff, or like like, I mean, Stranger Things I think has very much like the Duffer Brothers fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, when it's these kind of like like it's just another director doing another horror movie for Netflix, it's like it's gonna have the same exact kind of like pattern and style. It's like they have a style, they have like an internal style guide.
Yeah.
And it's a bad style guide.
we need one 80s throwback. We need one synthwave song. We need one glimpse of side boob, and someone needs to floss.
Yeah, it's
print it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'm sure that their committee is just entirely fucking dictated by a fucking algorithm, and that's it, and just whatever keeps retention and watching. Because like,
probably, honestly,
almost everything that I hate about this movie is the same shit that I fucking hated with Fear Street.
That you hated about Fear Street.
Yeah.
Exactly. It has a very similar vibe to Fear Street. It has a very similar vibe to like a couple of the other ones that are just like on there. And yeah, it's just kind of like they just churn off this schlock that's like, yep, it'll put butts in subscription seats. I don't know.
Yeah, but the one thing I can say about it is at least it's something you could potentially have heard of, unlike our next film.
Yeah, let's roll Tide.
Yeah,
because fuck this movie, and also fuck the next movie, but still.
Yes.
So, Kat, explain how you're at fault.
Okay, so I watched this movie back in college. So I think like when it came out, I think it just came out immediately onto a streaming service. But this is an insanely low budget movie. And I remember when I watched it at the time, like, I really got a kick out of it. Because I think it was so nothing. And like it was so like,
it's so boring.
It's like they're okay, so first of all, it's almost impossible to find as well because it's called The Maze. And it's so not famous that the first thing that comes up when you Google The Maze movie is, did you mean Maze Runner? And I'm like, no, I didn't mean Maze Runner.
You know, funny thing that you say that too, Kat, is I was on Rio's channel in chat, right? And I was mentioning, joking about corn politics, and I mentioned that, I watched The Maze. And Rio goes, oh, do you mean The Maze Runner? I was like, no, I mean The Maze.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. So, yeah.
This movie is so fucking obscure that the only member of the cast or crew with a Wikipedia article is the cinematographer, and it links to the wrong page of some dude who died 100 years ago.
Which you could explain the cinematography.
You could. Or the lack thereof.
They got all their cinematography from like a Ouija board.
Yeah, it links
talking to this guy.
Yeah, it links to the Wikipedia page of some 19th century American physician and businessman who served as the first mayor of Boise, Idaho. He was killed after being run over by a streetcar in Ohio.
But yeah, so I own this movie because
Why?
I own a bunch of movies from that era because I was an animation major. And so a lot of times like where I had to work, especially when I was doing like stop motion or if I was doing like anything that required me to kind of like be in the labs and be like in the 3D labs rendering stuff all night, you couldn't use the network because that would slow your render down. And then, also it was just like, so I had a bunch of like cheap, like garbage movies that I could put on in the background while I was doing these like, repetitive animation tasks. And this was one of them because.
But why would you ever want to put this on again?
Because I thought it was funny. So yeah, like it is. It's one of those things where like the budget is 200,000.
Yeah, 200K.
It's a very low budget movie, and it shows.
This fucking Wikipedia page is full of shit. I do not believe this was released in a single theater. It says it was released in theaters. No, you are a liar, sir.
That's the thing. I don't think so either because like I know I saw it in college, which was like 2010s ish. So, and I saw it like it was like straight onto Netflix basically. And this was back in the day where like streaming stuff on Netflix was like mostly garbage.
This thing's got a 3.8 on IMDb, and I'm not okay with that.
No.
Damn.
This needs to be lower than Axum. God damn it.
But okay, but since you brought up Axum, to me it holds a very similar spot to Axum.
Fair.
Where it's like somebody tried.
Somebody tried, like, sure.
This was like a crew. Yeah, this was like a crew of like 20 people, and damn it, they're like, let's make a movie, and they were like, we're making a movie, and then they made a movie
about 5 teenagers, all of whom are played by people in their 30s to 40s,
played by 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
Correct.
And when the climax of the movie happens, you look at the watch and you realize there's a half an hour left.
So
yes,
there is another shared thematic element between this and Children of the Corn, and that's that both have the sub-theme of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I forgot about
in Children
that.
of the Corn, this is shown to us through the girl idolizing the Red Queen and wanting to be a vicious psychopathic tyrant. All hail Lord Bane. This movie, I guess the corn maze is Wonderland themed.
Yes.
So the extent that they take this to is just like there's a bunch of dark scenes where you can't really tell what's going on, but there's like a standee of the Mad Hatter or something.
Yes.
We haven't even
And
described
I
the
just
plot
kept
yet
waiting
either.
for like, okay, if you're gonna have the maze be Wonderland themed, cool, but like lean into it.
Yeah.
Have some of the kills be like, drink me and it's like a vial of acid or something.
Well, we had the tiny
then
guillotine.
We get to the guillotine. Then finally, I got my moment. I said, there we go. Here's the Wonderland call out. And this killer like took one shop class in high school and like got stoned and missed half of the classes in the semester. So he C+ at best. And he built his own rickety little shitty guillotine that is so small and janky, the weight of the blade being dropped is not enough to decapitate someone. He had to grab the blade with his hands and shove it down on somebody like you're angrily shutting a window at the DMV and saying, "Good day, sir."
Yeah. So the premise of the movie is 5 air quotes teenagers, air quotes, sneak into a corn maze to play a game of tag.
Yep.
And there happens to be a psychopathic killer in the maze who starts eventually tracking them down after about 40 minutes of nothing happening. And then he kills them all in about the span of 10 minutes. And the corn maze is caught on fire. And our final girl escapes and is taken to the police station. And we get
what a twist.
The killer survived and we get like a 5 to 10 minute sequence of a road movie of him hitchhiking to get back into town from the corn maze.
Oh,
and we get
James
the big
was
reveal.
So angry at this part.
We get the big reveal that he's actually one of like the 3 cops in town.
Yep.
And the other 2 cops conveniently decide to leave the station to investigate the corn maze or something, leaving our final girl with the killer. And the girl doesn't know who the killer is because the killer had a stupid hoodie on and his face was obscured. But the cop is like, I'm gonna like finish the job or be whatever. And he has like an opportunity to kill her, but he doesn't, and instead just like knocks her out to set up another elaborate trap. Actually, that's another thing that this movie has in common with Children of the Corn. The killer having the opportunity to kill the person and instead knocks them out to set up a different method. Because in Children of the Corn, they rounded up all the adults and threw them in a prison cell. And then like we're like, okay, you know, the kids are just gonna kill the adults here, right? And instead, the kids gas the adults, and then they wake up in a pit, and the kids fill the pit with dirt, and like the adults die the minute dirt hits them, because, yeah. Anyways, the killer and the girl have like a confrontation, and like the killer's like, nobody's gonna believe you, and the girl's like, I'm recording everything or something, and I don't care. The entire I was so angry at the last half hour, just wanting the movie to die. It was over. We had our fucking climax.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, it also is very much like, it feels like
it's 86 minutes, and it was so slow.
Like, but the script is like a 30-minute script, basically. Like the way things play out and the amount of like content in the movie is like this is like a TV episode, maybe. This is like an X-Files episode.
It's an amateur horror director's like 25-minute reel.
Yeah.
Yes.
That got stretched out into a feature-length film.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just it's terrible, guys. Like, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
But it's like it's one of my, like, I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure, because I don't actually get any pleasure from watching it. I haven't seen it in ages. It's just something where I'm like, this is so bad that it's just
you're guilty.
I'm
subjecting
like,
us to this.
I'm ecstatic from how bad this is. Like, I'm just like, ho.
I just realized what movie I need to subject you to. Okay, so I was thinking about this because I'm like, wow, the only movie that I can remember that I've outright recommended to you guys was Train to Busan, and which is a fucking great movie.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'm like, I gotta think of some dreck that I can show them.
Absolutely.
Have either of you seen Reeker?
No.
It's from 2005. I'm not gonna spoil much of it because I want you to just go into it. But it's a slasher film that takes place at like a truck stop.
Ooh.
Oh.
And the monster is like this supernatural hooded figure that just reeks of fart gas all the time.
Oh, wait, you told me about this one.
And, like, when he shows up, he's got like visible stink lines and like an aura radiating off of him.
Michael, because we were talking about Michael Ironside, and he's in this. Oh,
I know what we're pairing this with. Then.
I gotta show you guys.
Amazing.
I know what we're gonna pair this with.
Okay.
Because we're gonna pair this with one that I haven't seen, but I've seen Mr. GG review it. I think I told you about this one, Kat. It's called The Hatred. It has Andrew Divoff in it for about 5 minutes. As it's about like a spooky Nazi artifact that's haunted by a ghost or something.
Yeah.
And it's from what I've seen of Mr. GG's review, it's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah.
Oh, this will be a great double feature.
Yeah,
Good
and then we'll
lord.
probably pair
I'm
it with
ready.
something.
I've been treating
Yeah.
you guys too well. I gotta subject you to Reeker.
Yeah.
It's true, you have. I really wanna get a deathbed, the bed that eats in here.
We'll make
one
it a
day.
triple feature.
That'll be the triple feature. We all recommend a shitty film to each other.
Although the kicker here is I haven't seen The Hatred. I've only seen a review of it. If I really wanted to subject you, I mean, I think Lee's seen this. It wouldn't work, but like my least favorite movie of all time is the 2006-2007 remake of Black Christmas.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one too.
Fucking dreadful.
That's the one with what's his face is the professor, right? Carrie.
No, you're confusing it again. You're thinking of
Oh.
the second Black Christmas remake.
Oh.
You're talking about the one that came out 2 or 3 years ago. God damn it!
No, it's been longer than that. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah, this one's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead
And Michelle Trachtenberg.
Oh. Okay, I have seen that one as well, but yes.
Yeah, okay, never mind then. Yeah, this is the one where the killer is an incest baby. Because,
Oh God.
Because why
all
not?
the best ones are.
Yeah, he's an incest baby and then creates another incest baby, who's his sister daughter.
Yeah. Oops, all incest.
And
babies.
and on top of killing people, they cut out people's flesh and turn them into Christmas cookies. And it's really fucking awful.
Oh.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's fucking abysmal. All right, we'll stick with The Hatred then. Anyways, do we have any?
Let's talk about good shit.
Yeah, do we have anything else we want to talk about with the maze, or can we just let it die?
No. We can let it die.
When it comes to corn politics, I lean to the left.
All right, yeah. All right, so between final question though, I know your answer, but we got to cement it. Between our 3 corn political films, which one would you recommend if you had to?
Oh God.
My answer might not be the one you'd expect.
Oh really?
If you recommend The Maze, I swear to God.
I would probably. I'm not gonna recommend the maze because I know how bad it is, and I know that I am a very special type of viewer that just gets like schadenfreude from making other people suffer.
Indeed.
As seen with Grave Encounters 2.
I'll never forgive you.
But I think I would probably recommend the Children of the Corn one.
Correct answer. Lee, tell me why you're wrong.
I would recommend There's Someone Inside Your House.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Because I think there's a deep metaphor somewhere in the corn
Fuck you.
for the social climate that we live in.
It doesn't have children being bullied by a 40-year-old adult in a fucking town hall meeting.
Okay,
no, but it's got a kid turning Nazi memorabilia into a blog.
Yeah, here's the thing, like I feel like the Children of the Corn remake is the one that's like the most middle of the road, like not watching it ironically, but also not just hate watching it, kind of like it's like you can have fun and you can hate it at the same time. Whereas like both of the other two I feel like are more they like one of them tries harder and fails harder, and one of them is there's something in your house.
My pick for best of the worst is Vampire Assassin.
Not on the menu, but it will be. We'll make it a quadruple feature.
Oh shit. Well, we also gotta watch that other vampire one that Lee mentioned that they just did on Best of the Worst.
Oh.
Oh no, that's
Right?
dreadful. There's no need to watch that.
Okay.
I was just kind of stoked because usually I find out about bad shit through RLM.
That's true.
That sometimes when I boot up a Best of the Worst and go, oh shit, I've seen this one.
Yes.
that I know it's trouble.
Yeah. No, that's always fun. There's a couple that they've watched that I discovered originally through Mr. Science Theater or Riff Tracks.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's good. That's good shit.
All right, should we talk about good stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
let's talk about Urban
love.
Harvest.
God damn it.
Let us talk about love. Sweet love.
James, you wanna
No, I'm just letting
so
things like pan out awkwardly until someone
letting
says
things
something.
percolate?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay,
We
so
watched the Kaguya miniseries movie thing, The First
yeah,
Kiss That Never Ends.
yeah, it was
So
yeah.
fucking yeah. It was, for those of you who maybe only like tune in to catch our horror or like video game opinions, Kaguya-sama Love is War is a delightful romance comedy anime that we all fucking love.
Yeah. And none of us thought we would love it because none of us are into that genre.
And I barely watch anime.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's just like, oh wait, no, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absurd. And yeah, this is the continuation of where the last season dropped off.
It's a 4-episode miniseries that was initially like spliced together as a single movie for Japanese release, and it covers like a single small little arc that follows up where season 3 ended, which is basically spoilers, Kaguya and Miyuki navigating their relationship after they kissed for the first time, and Kaguya slipping him the tongue
because she's a war criminal. Because she's a tyrant.
Yeah, and the whole thing's it's like a little Christmas movie too, because it's all set around the holidays, Christmas season, and everything like that. And it's basically the continued exploits of the two of them being really, really, really fucking stupid.
Yes.
She slipped me the tongue. Oh, does she like me? Yes.
Yes. Shut up.
Get in the robot.
I will say I loved these couple episodes. They were great. The things I'm going to say that I'm like I had problems with this are not the usual way I have problems with things. It's like I'm mad at these characters, not I'm mad at the writing.
Yes.
The writing is really good. The everything that happens is great. But damn, it's like too real sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like and I know we have kind of like a joking competition of like, oh, who's the best girl, Hayasaka or Chika kind of thing. But like for me, Hayasaka starts to lean into like some pretty not great stuff in like
there's some questionable decisions.
Yeah, like her whole being like, oh, I'll bet you I can win him over before you can, like in one night, is just like that's pretty shitty.
To be fair, Kagi is the one who challenged her to that.
Yes, but
her trying to continue to do it.
From personal experience, like I know somebody who used like basically like not to get too personal, but it's something I've seen happen, and it sucks when you have to pick up the pieces for your friend who
for sure
got betrayed in such a horrible way because somebody who they thought was their best friend who was like checking out this boy for them started sleeping with the boy instead.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like, yeah, this is pretty shitty. So she does something very similar at the start of this, which is like when Kagi is so excited about the kiss, she's the one who's immediately like, you fucked up. And like, you did this wrong. And it's just like, and that's sort of what breaks Kaguya and causes her to be an absolute fucking nightmare for like 2 episodes.
Yeah, which causes the uprising of this series' most powerful villain to date.
Little Kaguya?
The Ice Queen.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, Little Kaguya.
Yes.
Little Kaguya gives me life.
But like it's that, and then like, and I mentioned while we were watching it, I was like, I kind of hope that they start actually leaning into Hayasaka as like being the villain of the series or something like that, or being a heel, because like otherwise this behavior from a friend or from a supposed like good character feels really gross to me personally. But then she does something later that's like really fucking sweet, so it's like
I feel like it's
heartbreaking.
You hit the nail right on the head of like, it's not a frustration with the writer by any means because it's done very well. It's a frustration with the character's decision making.
Yes.
And the important thing to remember, I guess, in that same vein is these are fucking kids.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They're teenagers
they're
and
dumb
they
don't understand.
And they don't and also like
and they've then neither of them has ever been in a relationship before, so it's just like, oh my god, they're making like the same fucking mistakes that I made in high school, you know, and it's just like this is painful to watch at points because you're just like,
hurts the most about it is I see Miyuki doing things and like I see 16-year-old Lee in it, and I'm like, oh
yes, the like and Kagi, because like basically like what like once Hayasaka kind of like, you know, is kind of manipulative and does kind of like cause her to have to like spiral, like, but Kaguya's response to that is like, oh, if he really likes me, he'll like me for my terrible personality, and it's like, no. Like,
like if you can't handle me at my bleh, you don't deserve me at my meh.
Exactly, and you're just like, wow, that's like such an immature, terrible thing to do to somebody, and it's like, wow, yeah, because she's like 17.
She's 17.
Sorry, not sorry.
She's 17
like, I get
and she's a supervillain.
Yes. And I'm like, I get it, but like, oh, it's so because I'm like, I've definitely been there where I'm like, wow, nobody would like me if I actually show people who I really am, and it's like, no, shush.
Now here's one thing I don't think I've mentioned about this series that really shines through in moments like these. Typically, in any coming of age, slice of life, sort of, you know, confused love feelings for the first time situation, you would always have an older, mature character to give them direction and guide them. They do not have this. They have Papa Shirogane.
Yeah, who is an actual warlock now.
Who is actually a warlock now. Who has developed his dark arts. Like, I like that twist on it because typically you have that older, wiser mentor to be like, oh, son, sit down and let me tell you about X, Y, and Z.
Yes. And then and that's the thing is like they kind of like turn that trope on its head a little bit in that like Kaguya is like, I need advice from people, and she goes to like other kids her age who are just as fucking dumb and clueless as she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's great, but like also, oh, is it painful?
Oh, yeah. It's dumb teenagers, book smart teenagers doing really, really, really dumb shit because it's their first time doing anything like this. And also, especially like with like the cultural differences and everything like that as well, because I'm not familiar with Japanese teenage life, so I'm assuming there's some level of repression. But like
I don't know, maybe
I don't know, but like it's still funny, and the dramatic moments rip your fucking heart out. It's too real.
And also, since we mentioned it with the, you know, Children of the Corn and like the
Please
you know,
stop.
the Netflix movies and stuff.
I don't want to talk about those anymore.
Well, no, specifically like how to write kids.
Oh yes.
Right? Because like when we watch Kaguya, we're not immediately sitting there going, these people are teenagers. It's like they're written really well.
Yeah.
And then they do things, and you're frustrated by what they're doing, but then you kind of remember, like, oh yeah, because they're in high school, you know, like they're high schoolers, and it's just like that's all you really need to do, you know, like you don't have to write them like how do you do, fellow kids? Yeah,
which is a lot of problem in modern media. It's like
Exactly. But like Kage is the perfect example of like they're written like people.
Yeah,
first.
that's kind of like one of the things too. Like if you compare it to like older movies about teenagers, right? Like stuff like Clueless or the John Hughes stuff, right?
Yeah,
you can like or dislike those movies. It's fine. It's totally whatever. But they feel like characters, and they feel like real people, and they feel like dumb teenagers doing dumb teenager stuff, not hello fellow kids shit. You know?
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. But like I'm fine with being frustrated at a character being stupid because that's what they are. Yeah. You know?
Oh yes, exactly.
It's like as we see in like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you know, with fucking Okuyasu. He's the dumbest motherfucker, but like we love him because he's so dumb.
Yeah.
Or
he's
like
also the best boy.
Yeah. Or like Ishigami says and does fucked up shit sometimes, but it's like you can also put yourself in his headspace because he's a dumb teenager who's gone through some shit. It's like he's not like malicious of intent or whatever. And like I can totally see where Miyuki's coming from of him being like, I'm not good enough. I need to like improve. Otherwise, like if you know, that sort of thing. It's strong writing. And also little Kaguya is that scene was
Little Kaguya like really quickly launched into being one of my favorite characters in the whole show.
My favorite is just Miko Ino walking in on little Kaguya and little Miyuki, and it's Miyuki and Kaguya just out of it. It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Although, you know, not enough Fujiwara's older sister.
No.
No.
God.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Not enough.
Sorry about that, y'all.
I need a whole OVA. Just
not enough Eldritch dad either. I want more of him.
That's true. He shows up in that opening title, and
then
we had to have it for a frame. You had to pause it for us, and we were like,
and then
now that's the most important thing that bears mentioning is carrying on with the tradition of the seasons that came before it. We have another mercilessly slapping intro tune from Masayuki Suzuki.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I worship this motherfucker.
Good.
Yeah.
This dude is life goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the coolest motherfucker walk in the face of the earth.
I really hope he is involved in every single Kaguya project going forward. I never want to hear an OP without him, unless, you know, heaven forbid something terrible happens or, you know, whatever. But like, god damn, he's got some fucking pipes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's older than I thought too. He's 67.
Yeah, he's been doing this career since like the 70s and 80s, from what I read on Wikipedia.
Damn. Bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, he's considered, I guess, to be like the godfather of romance songs in Japan. Like, he's so prolific and shit like that.
Japanese Elvis.
Yeah, it would be like, I guess if he were still alive, it would almost be like the equivalent of like getting Frank Sinatra to fucking sing the Batman theme or something like that.
Ooh.
Yo, like Frank Sinatra doing like a Bond theme.
Yeah. I could see that just because movie studios have like the money for that, but like, I don't know, like fucking Doug's theme by fucking John Lennon. Or whatever.
Or what?
Yeah, just
that's the example we're gonna.
Yeah, listen. That's the first thing I thought of. All right, what do you want from me? Paul McCartney doing The Simpsons. Actually, at this point, I could see it because they have the money.
I'll take it.
Anyways, yeah, it finally, you know, it's been out on streaming for a while, but we waited for the dub. And yeah.
Well, we have to because the narrator is the best character objectively.
Yes.
Objectively.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fucking
There's only so much to really say, I think, because
it's 4
for
episodes.
Those of you out there who are, you know, are curious about this series, we have a whole episode on it. It was paired with Prey. Because, you know, we pair Kaguya with weird shit.
We sure do.
we pair anything with weird shit. Most of our episodes are very, very. Occasionally, we'll have like a solid pairing, right? Like we paired Mobius with the Batman, which I guess makes sense because bats. But we also stuck Godzilla Final Wars in there.
Oh yeah.
And then we paired Phil Tippett's Mad God with Netflix's Resident Evil.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's yeah.
That was a combo.
Yeah, and let's see. What?
God, I love that.
Yeah.
I love us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's not much to say because, like, you know, and also Bullet Train and Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a double whammy. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's not too much to say because we've already did an episode and it's only
it's
4
like,
episodes. So
I hate to say it's more of the same, but it's kind of like if you liked the series, you will.
Yes.
You need to watch this.
Watch it.
And if
It
you
ain't
didn't,
broke,
then-
so don't fix
Watch it. And if you
Yeah,
haven't watched
exactly.
the series, do so now. I've converted a large number of people in my Discord into being Kaguya fans. Like our previous guest Hex has seen Kaguya.
it.
And Hex is rightfully is on the right side of history.
No, she's on the wrong
Team
side.
Hayasaka.
She's absolutely on the wrong. She's a sucker for blondes. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the only reason you won.
I'll take
That's
a
a good
victory.
reason in my book.
I've got her number on that one.
I'll take a victory where I can take it. It's like
A W is a W.
Yeah, you and Goonguts are just on a losing battle. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Some of us have taste.
You're right. Lee and I have excellent taste.
Listen.
Bees.
Narrator's best waifu.
Yeah, I think we can
Yes,
go with that.
that's true.
But I think the lesson at the end of the day is that love is torture. So let's talk about Saw.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh boy.
All right. I mean, we can't really talk about Saw 10 without addressing the franchise.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think we have some differing viewpoints on it because
Mhm.
I'm pretty firmly in the ballpark of I adore the first movie and I can't fucking stand anything else in the franchise. And I think I'm the most staunch on that front.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, like I adore the first movie. I think the first movie is a solid detective thriller a la Seven.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It still understood the concept of subtlety back then.
Yes.
Like, to
Yes.
me, the series has blown up into being all about the contraptions and the mechanisms and the traps and the torture. And to me, the fucking like most wild scene in the first movie was as simple as Jigsaw just had a wrist knife hidden under his robe. And I'm like, oh, this is the sickest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is so cool. And then we got 9 movies with a reboot, and they killed off the titular villain in the 3rd film and then regretted their decision immediately and tried their damnedest to backpedal, bringing us to Saw 10. So before we dive in, what's the deal with you two and this franchise?
James,
Yeah. Saw 1. I remember liking it. I think it's fine. I think it's solid. For me, the sequels, with the exception of Spiral,
What's that?
a really terrible sequel novel to Ring.
Don't worry,
Oh,
Lee.
sure
We have a podcast on it. You can go back and watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, how strange.
Yeah. The sequels are all really dumb and stupid. Saw 2 is like maybe of like the original sequels the closest to the first one. And like we have Detective Donnie Wahlberg. But they're all really, really, really dumb and preposterous. But at least for me, how stupid each movie gets, I really enjoy. There's bits and bobs of the individual sequels that I don't like and I think are like maybe a little too mean. Like, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy from Boondock Saints who's in fucking Saw 7. He's our trap main character. His final test is like too mean and outside of the spirit of Saw, since it actually does involve an innocent person. And granted, at this point, I believe Hoffman is the one in charge of stuff, but it's like, it still feels excessively mean. Saw 6's ending was also kind of, both 5 and 6 kind of had like aggressively mean endings. Like even 4 is a little on the mean side, where it's like the lesson is, don't rush into stuff. It's like, that's kind of a little bit of a stretch for a lesson, my dude. But like, whatever. For me, they're all like entertaining and stupid, with the only one being kind of like a legitimate movie was the first one. But I have fun with them, and also I always like to see Donnie, I wish I was my brother Mark Wahlberg in movies. Yeah, and then Spiral was a piece of shit.
Yeah. No, none of us enjoyed Spiral. Also, I realized that Lee, I was trying to make a joke being like, oh, if you haven't seen Spiral, you should watch our podcast, but I realized that like that didn't land at all. So I apologize for that joke coming off as like Captain Obvious, go watch another episode.
No, it didn't come off that way.
Oh, okay, good. I was sitting here going, shit. But the my experience with Saw is actually, I think, somewhere in the middle between you two.
Okay.
And I think we touched on this a little bit, but basically like Tobin Bell, I think, is a fantastic actor. I've loved him since 24, actually. We brought this up earlier today where like it was like, oh yeah, he's the big bad of like season 2 of 24, and I was like, yeah, that's actually where I first saw him as an actor. Yeah, so I think he's fantastic. I think how I experienced Saw was mostly as like not a binge watch, but like basically like sort of challenging myself. I had a period of time in like early college / like just out of college where I was like, I'm gonna watch the most disturbing shit. I'm just gonna like fuck myself up with movies.
Right.
And so yeah, I was like I forget how many there were in the franchise at the time, but I went and I watched like all of them. Just like I did a bunch of like weird torture porn things, like
right.
You know, saw Human Centipede as well, and then like Serbian film, stuff like that, where it's just like I'm gonna watch stuff that's just vile. So I do think that like in the grand scheme of like what I was watching at the time, I was like, these movies are kind of more cartoony than a lot of them. Not the first one. The first one is like really solid, and because it is, you're right, it's more of a like Seven style thing where it's like it's subtle. It's, you know, because I actually just recently rewatched Seven because my husband had never seen it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I like didn't realize that like there's almost no like there's no violence depicted on screen. It's like entirely like, you know, sort of aftermath, and even then it's like mostly like kind of like lampshaded, like mostly like, you know, just sort of like not really explicitly like here's guts hanging around and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, damn, that's very fucked up, because it's still a very fucked up movie. And yeah, Saw 1 did that really well. And then the sequels all kind of blur together for me, because I did watch them all like in a row, and I did kind of just like
in just one giant marathon of torture.
Yeah, basically, where it's just like, and that and like the Hostel movies and like all of those kind of like
pain like, for pain's sake.
Yeah, exactly. Where it was just like, hey, the early aughts were all doing torture porn. It was like that genre I watched a bunch of, and it was kind of like, yeah. So like I wouldn't say that I'm like a fan of the genre as a whole. I do think Saw is one of the standouts because of how clever it can get. Can being the operative word.
Yes.
But yeah, in general, I'm like mostly lukewarm on this franchise, except that I like James Wan a lot, and you know, that first movie was great, and I like Tobin Bell a lot.
Okay.
You don't like 98 Apprentices?
I do not.
It's 97 too many, really.
Yes, it really is.
Not enough. I want to see Danny Glover come back and be an apprentice.
There you go.
So, yeah. So
and the games suck.
Saw X Saw 10 is in this weird space where I can't tell exactly if it is supposed to take place between films 1 and 2, or if it is a soft reboot of the universe, or the one I lean into, which is it really doesn't care about the timeline anymore. It just wants to put all the cool shit together into one package and go, here, assholes, Saw.
I I feel like that's a bingo.
Yeah, and I'm kind of okay with that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the timeline is very much a fucking mess because every single movie at this point is like, after Saw 2, is like flashback after flashback after flashback. Like,
yeah, that's true.
fucking Saw 8's twist is that the entire game took place 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It's like endless. Or like Saw 4, we find out that the entire movie is taking place before the events and during the events of Saw 3, and it's just this endless interconnected stupid convoluted web of just trying to keep track of shit. The only thing that you know is like, okay, if Tobin Bell is alive, this takes place before Saw 3.
I
Yeah.
believe it fell into the same trap that M. Night Shyamalan did, where Shyamalan became known for having a movie with a twist so fucking good
Yeah.
that he had to now do it every single time.
Yeah.
And I think that the twist of the first Saw movie was so well done, and the music became so iconic
Yep.
that they're like, okay, shit, we got to do this every time now. Because if you get to the end of a Saw movie and that famous theme song starts playing and you don't get like a cool reveal, you kind of get like, oh, like I got cheated out of something I felt entitled to. But this one at least starts to go back to some of those great ass pull roots.
Yes.
We'll get into that. So Saw 10 is finally taking advantage of the fact that Tobin Bell is a fucking great actor and putting him right in the spotlight. He's not just going to have 15 minutes of screen time and steal the movie away from whoever the lead detective is of whatever, whatever franchise entry it is.
Yeah.
They put Tobin front and center. John Kramer is the main character of this fucking movie, and for better or for worse, he's our hero.
The first half of this movie, or maybe just first act, like the first good chunk of the movie is a cancer drama.
It's
like there's one brief trap at the start of the movie that is just John Kramer potentially thinking about it. But other than that, it's a cancer drama.
Yes.
There's just and it's just carried by Tobin Bell's performance. And he's great. It's like they're letting him flex his muscle. It's surprisingly new, like just well done.
I think for me, I really appreciate that the franchise was like, you know what, villain protagonist.
Yeah.
Because like really kind of that's I think maybe the direction they should have gone beforehand, because it's just like there's so many other movies with murderers where like the murderer is the threat, but there's always going to be a Laurie Strode or whomever, right? Like who's the actual main character. But it's like of all of these horror franchises, Saw does feel like the one where like the character of Jigsaw is probably the most important and the most memorable thing of the whole movie, where you're like nobody remembers any of the fucking victim characters. Nobody remembers anybody who, I mean, I couldn't tell you the names of the two guys in the room in the first movie.
It's Dr. something or other and the screenwriter.
Apprentices.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's like
Dr. Gordon.
But even then,
Dr. Gordon and
it was Dr. Gordon and Adam, but
yes,
the screenwriter. He doesn't have a name. He's just the screenwriter.
right. But even then, it's just kind of like, it's Tobin Bell's show, really.
Yeah.
And the fact that he gets so little like actual presence just kind of like speaks to how fucking good he is.
Like
you feel him through the entire like runtime.
Yeah, the second movie, like that's where he was first kind of allowed to stretch a little bit, but not to the extent of like Saw X, and like because it keeps cutting back and forth between the trap and Donnie Wahlberg and Tobin Bell sitting at a table minding their own business, faffing about. But Tobin Bell is like mesmerizing in it. And even in Saw 3, where he's just basically pulling a Laurie Strode from Halloween 2 and also a Laurie Strode from Halloween Kills, where he's just strapped to a bed because he's dying. He's still mesmerizing. He's still great.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic fucking actor. And this movie allows him to do more because we get to see, like, for the first half of this movie, John Kramer as opposed to Jigsaw. Where it's like his life, what he's interested in, him trying to beat cancer and all that.
And it's also, they don't, they also don't shy away from showing that, like, he's still a serial killer. Where it's like they have him have that whole, like, you know, like where he sees the guy trying to steal from his patients and he envisions like punishing him for it, and you're just like, oh, that's really fucked up. Oh yeah, because I'm literally following the villain's POV.
Right. It offers us a unique insight into the mind of somebody whose entire mission, as you know, he doesn't see himself as a serial killer, but his mission as a life coach is to teach people the value of life, because he himself is having it slowly slip away from him because of cancer. We get to go inside a layer deeper into the mind of somebody who is literally fighting for his life again. And it's one of those sick situations where you want to root for him, but they keep reminding you every so often in those delicate little ways, like, let's not forget this guy's a fucking maniac.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the only movie I can think of outside of, like, I haven't seen it, but like there's like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer where it does that.
I have seen that one.
The only movie that I've seen that I can think of where it's like it kind of puts you in that headspace.
There's also Maniac.
That's what I was actually gonna mention, the Elijah Wood Maniac.
Yeah,
where you're trapped in his headspace, and it's like you kind of sympathize with him because Elijah Wood is a great actor. And you can tell he's struggling to not do this.
But
he's
exactly.
A fucking psycho.
Yes, I was gonna say that, like, a lot of those kind of movies, like Maniac, and then there's another one with like Ryan Reynolds hearing voices and he like kills people. A lot of those do try to kind of lean more on the, like, they're trying not to do it.
Yeah.
And this one was just unapologetically like, you know, like, yes, you have some sympathy for him because he's like, he cares about this kid, he has like a code, but he is still fucking people up, you know? Like,
they start to tease a redemption angle with this thing, so which is kind of like twisted when you think about it, but the core narrative here is that he is presented with this once in a lifetime opportunity to take part in a highly, like, underground illegal surgical operation that claims it can cure him of his cancer. He met a guy at a cancer support group who had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and was healed by this revolutionary procedure by a woman named Cecilia Peterson. And Jigsaw's like, okay, like, I know the value of life. I've been carving it into people for years. I need to do what I need to do. He flies down to Mexico, goes through the shadiest operation known to man, runs into he's introduced to a slew of people on this medical team. There's, like, you know, the chief surgeon, the anesthesiologist, you know, this whole staff of like 5 people. And they perform what he believes is this life-changing surgery on his brain to remove the malignancy. And as, of course, you kind of feel it coming halfway through the process, but just the way they handle the whole drop on it was really spicy. Of course, he got conned. There was no great procedure. They just conned him out of a shitload of money and moved their whole operation and just left him to die of his cancer. Well, they fucked with the wrong cancer-ridden old man.
Yeah.
Because what then happens is, instead of this being a movie of detectives trying to chase down the serial killer and getting wrapped up in his, you know, Machiavellian schemes, this is a revenge film.
It's not. He says it. It's not revenge. It's a reawakening.
Oh fuck! Don't give his manifesto any more credit than it already has. He tracks down all the people responsible for the con, all the people who were faking being doctors and putting on this charade, and he traps them in a warehouse. He brings back his apprentice, Amanda. He gets on the phone with his FBI contact, Hoffman, from the other films. He gets all the warriors together.
He assembles the Avengers, baby.
He gets the murder Avengers together. And that's when we start to unveil the truth that for as evil as we've thought Jigsaw's been for 10 movies,
Jesus Christ.
motherfucker can't hold a candle to Cecilia Peterson's evil ass.
Yeah, like, holy shit.
This woman's the devil.
She really is. It's just like, I was constantly taken aback at how fucking awful of a human being she was. I mean, granted, taking advantage of cancer patients and stealing them of their money is already fucking evil.
It's already cartoonishly evil.
It's super
Mustache
evil.
twirling.
But like, she's basically like a comic book villain evil.
Oh,
like it's just as I was joking in the when we were watching it, like also for context viewers, we literally watched this like right before recording this episode, right?
Yes.
It's like that
very fresh in our minds.
That fucking dinosaur villain in Spider-Man. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. She's just so fucking evil. She's worse than, god damn it, dude.
Yeah, essentially what she's doing throughout this film is, as the rest of her colleagues, I guess you can call them, are going through their tests, through their games, she's kind of coaching them through the proper way to do it, which I thought was kind of an interesting approach, because you've got the person in the trap completely, fear-addled and not knowing what to do. And she's this twisted voice of reason convincing them to mutilate themselves. And she doesn't ever really get that moment to be in her own shitty situation, like right up until the end. And even then, in a sense, she kind of gets off easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like the biggest, like, oh fuck of this whole movie. But as her colleagues or compatriots are starting to get handled, game by game, she is just upping the stakes every time. Like, okay, just to get into the spoiler territory, there's a wheeling cart of tools in the center of the room with my phone on it that I need to get to. But I don't have a rope. What I do have is the still warm body of someone who I just worked with. And I've got a shard of metal. So I'm going to cut her open and pull out her large intestine. And I'm going to use that as a rope to swing this cart over to me.
Yeah.
This woman is vicious. Vicious. And the whole time, because of how, and like, again, good move making her as evil as she is, because now by comparison, every time it cuts back to our heroes, John Kramer and Amanda, we go, wow, look at these two perfectly well-adjusted people. One of the people who's set up for a game is a struggling addict, and Amanda herself, as an addict in recovery, is super concerned about her and going, oh, well, maybe she doesn't understand what she's doing. We all need a second chance. Meow, 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 meow. And it's like, oh, look at her showing the value for life. What a good girl, that Amanda, as you have horrible flashbacks of everything she's done throughout this franchise.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Is abhorrent.
I made the joke when we were watching it, but it's very much that Britta line from Community where she's like, I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty. It's like, you can excuse racism? Like, sorry? Like, oh, I can excuse horrible murder, but but I draw the line at to a drug addict.
Yeah. It's great. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they up the ante on the evil villain to a new level so that we could, continue to appreciate Jigsaw and pull for him in the end.
Yes.
And we are gifted the horribly, like, almost out of character image that closes the film of the happy family of Jigsaw, Amanda, and a young Mexican boy, arm in arm, walking out into the sun as a tasteful fade in of the title. Goes Saw 10, There is little to no comeuppance to the villain. Cecilia will absolutely be back in the next movie.
Hell yeah.
She will somehow be more pissed off. But I don't know. I saw this in theaters, and I very rarely get out to the movies anymore. And I always go into movies like this with that thought of like, okay, this is just going to be a fun way to turn off my brain for an hour and a half or 2 hours and just, watch something silly, maybe like, squirm a couple of times in the seat at a particular kill and just be like, oh, that's gnarly. Like, who thinks of doing that? Blah. But this one, I left the theater just going like, fuck, it's back. It took 10 movies. And a lot of spin-offs and reboots and offshoots and what should have been dead to rights, like straight to DVD at Blockbuster 15 years ago movies. But goddamn, at the end of the day, folks, I think Saw 10 is the best one since the first.
Damn.
That's my stance. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Funny what happens when you give a good actor the room to act.
True. But, can we talk about the post-credit scene?
No. no, we can't.
I think that has to be one of the, like, most, like, ooh, you almost had it, guys. You just needed to shut the fuck up moments for me.
I forgot to say this while we were watching it. But, okay, just to paint the picture for everybody, there's a post-credit scene where John tracks down the guy who supposedly had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and is gonna have his vengeance. And they have him set up with this machine on his stomach that is threatening to like claw its way into his pancreas to like mimic the wound that he said he had. And it's really cheesy and really stupid and really jarring. And they had Hoffman there unironically say the word like epic.
Yes.
Not in the scope of like, oh, it's, epic in the grand Greek sense. It's epic in like the epic lols.
Yeah. He was like, that was an epically bad move or something like that. It was like,
bro. But what tickled me so much about this is that when they turn the machine on, it's like 5 or 6 of these little metal claws, almost like harmlessly scratching at the dude's tummy.
Yeah.
Just go like, oh, I'm gonna get you.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna claw my way into your pancreas. I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
And that's the fade out.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it spirals wildly into his tummy. And that's how it ends.
Yeah. So, yeah, the thing for me that bothered me the most about that scene, or the most about, like a couple of things about that scene, was that like it felt like they were, like it's like, okay, this is a loose end we have to tie up, right? But he pulls back his, he pulls off his shirt or whatever, or he's shirtless. He looks, they like flash back to the shirt pull, and he's like, oh, where's your scar? And it's just like, okay, you know what? I can buy this guy infiltrating a cancer group to try to like scope out who they can, like who they can make money off of, right?
They need stooges, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can even buy him, just happening to run into him at the coffee shop to be like, oh yeah, I'm cured, ha ha ha. But like, he put on the fake scar.
Every time he goes outside?
Every time he goes outside,
Listen.
just in case he happens to run into him in the coffee shop.
Listen,
like, what?
you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, it was just like, it was one of those things where it was like, that's a little like I'm like, I understand, but
Listen, that scene was made for me. It's the stupid shit. The stupid shit I love of Saw.
It's true. Yeah, I feel like you were ecstatic when that scene
Yeah,
dropped.
because it's so fucking dumb. I either want this franchise to be good or really dumb. Not in the spiral dumb, where it's just insufferable and boring and makes you angry, but just, this is so convoluted and stupid, right? And again, like the big twist at the end is also part of that as well, of just like, we secretly planned for your boyfriend to show up and counted on him to lock me and Amanda, except for it turns out to be a small Mexican boy instead, in this trap. Like, that is so fucking stupid in terms of just, like, predicting, like, stuff or whatever, just for the sake of having an additional twist. And I love it. It's dumb. It's stupid. That's what I love Saw for. Outside of when it's good. And again, the dude donning a fake scar, it's also in the same lines. It's like at the end of Saw 7 where we find out Dr. Gordon, Carrie Elwes, is now an apprentice because fuck you.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. I love it. Or again, Jigsaw's final twist where LOL, everything you witnessed happened 10 years ago. It's like, come on, this is so stupid, but like, it gives me life because it's so dumb. I love it. And it's not Spiral, or it's just...
Yeah.
And hey, it's also social commentary about like the medical industry without being heavy-handed like Spiral.
Fair. Now here's the final nail in the coffin that I'll throw out there. Is for all the comparisons that we can't help but make to Spiral, same writer.
Well, yeah, most of the, I think, didn't this
the
guy
writer
write
just had a really solid turnaround.
Yeah,
I mean, because
I get it.
If I'm not mistaken, the writer also has done a couple others as well.
I think he also did Jigsaw.
Yeah, so I mean, I enjoyed Jigsaw because how stupid that fucking thing is.
And he also did Piranha 3D.
Piranha 3D is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I love Piranha 3D, but he also did the Hungover games.
What? Oh, like a Hangover?
Yeah,
or
it's
like a whatever Hunger Games parody.
Yeah, it's Oh, he didn't write that. He directed that. Never mind. But still, it's basically like a it's like a date movie style bullshit from the looks of things. But yeah, and like the director of this was actually, he's been the long running editor of the Saw franchise, and he also directed Saw 6 and 3D as well. Like it's still kind of kept in house. Like even the director of Spiral, he's the guy who directed Saw 2, 3, and 4 along with Repo. You're right. He did Repo the Genetic Opera. Yeah.
Oh, I love that piece of shit.
Yeah, so like the crew is still like, they've been involved with multiple entries and whatnot. Except for, James Wan, he just gets his name stapled to it because he made the baby, I could say that maybe if I had to say one maybe bit of criticism is it was maybe a little pushing it at 2 hours. It could have been maybe tightened up a tad. Because I think most of these Saw movies are like closer to 90 minutes. But granted, Tobin Bell is fantastic, so that was great. But yeah, it's good shit.
All right, final thought.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you, Lee, that I think this is probably the return to the return to form for this franchise, where it feels like a direction they should have probably thought about taking years ago.
Yeah, killing Jigsaw is the stupidest fucking thing they did.
Yeah.
It just wrote themselves into a fucking corner.
Oh yeah, they went, oh no, our franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it was cool. It was fun. A lot of really intense gore and torture porn. So if that's what you're into, and we'll get your money's worth.
And slightly more grounded mechanics.
Yeah, the traps were less preposterous.
Yeah, there's still one or two that are
there's still one or two that are kind of out there, but like the simplicity of I've grafted pipe bombs onto your arms.
Yes, that's the shit.
Is pretty brutal.
That's the good stuff.
And like for me, like the most brutal trap was honestly the one with the chick getting the radiation in the face, just because the sound of breaking your bones with a sledgehammer is just it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little more believable than expecting someone to fucking saw through their leg and extract bone marrow,
out the marrow,
or cut into their skull and take out a piece of brain. Those
Yeah.
two, like the other
Or the
believable.
bloodboarding seesaw.
The bloodboarding seesaw is more believable.
I loved the fact that like I'm such a sucker for like a character realizing something as shit's about to like kick off basically. But the fucking like them being like, wait, the blood torture seesaw was for you. Who was gonna be on the other side? And then like shit goes like where it's like, oh, he planned it this whole time, motherfucker.
Yeah,
it's
great.
so goofy and out there, but it's great.
Yeah.
So
I love it. That's my opinion. It's the best one since the first. First is still the reigning champion.
Absolutely.
And then this is right underneath it.
I haven't seen most of the movies in years, so I can't like definitively place this. I will say that in terms of like a technical level, right? This is definitely the best one since the first movie, right? I don't know if I like it more than the first. I would have to like rewatch the first. And I couldn't even tell you if this would be my favorite Saw movie or what my favorite Saw movie is, because again, part of my criteria is I love how stupid this franchise gets. But it's definitely a solid fucking watch. And the one thing I think that you should like really take into account when watching this, if you're on the fence about watching it, especially if you've never seen a Saw movie before, is because this is like an interquel or a midquel or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and it takes place kind of sort of between Saw 1 and 2. You don't have to worry about how stupid and convoluted the fucking timeline gets. This could easily be a strong entry point. And I think it's a fairly competent little horror movie, especially since there's so much time spent building up John Kramer as a character and making his motive clear and making hateable villains who are his victims and everything like that. It's solid. Go watch it.
Hell yeah. All right, so our catch up time?
Yeah, I'll go first. I only have one quick thing because I can't really.
So mine's very brief, also.
Yeah, I can't really.
I got a couple of things.
Most of the shit like is just been rewatching stuff in Goonflix or replaying stuff on stream. But the one singular new piece of media that I have consumed is Ding Dong Dead from Black Eyed Priest, aka Jordan King, and produced by Puppet Combo. And it's available on Puppet Combo's Patreon for $5 backers. It's basically like a sort of side experimental project. Relatively short, takes like an hour or two to get through. You play as some dude, like maybe late teens, early 20s, and you need money, and it's Halloween night, and you're gonna go babysit this little shit kid. And on that night, the Ding Dong Ditcher Ripper has escaped from the mental institution and is coming home. So basically, it's like you're babysitting, and you have to try to survive this potential serial killer. There's a lot of build-up before when the serial killer shows up, and it's kind of almost maybe a little immersive sim-y, where it's like you can interact with all sorts of stuff in the environment and kind of gain stat points and solve puzzles and get equipment that could potentially save your ass later down the road. I don't know entirely how much replay value it has, or if there's a lot of different permutations, like if things can play out differently. I know from what I've read on Twitter from the developer is he's actually planning on updating this and adding more rooms and puzzles and all sorts of other little fun things. But like, it was a neat, fun little entertaining thing, and because of the fact that it spends so much time building up and you have to try to figure out how to survive this serial killer trying to kill you, it's one of the more tense horror games that I've played, even though like leading up to it it's much more tongue-in-cheek and funny and whatnot, like more of a little bit of a comedy horror sort of game until the killer shows up. But yeah, I would recommend it. It was fun.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
My catch-up is also very brief because I've just not really had as much time as I would like lately to dig into new media.
Mhm.
And the time that I have had, I've spent playing Baldur's Gate 3, so Cat, go.
Yeah. I also have spent a lot of time playing Baldur's Gate 3, but I did make some time to watch a couple other things. And I wanted to like quickly note a few of them that like because some of these aren't gonna make it onto like my best of or worst of lists. So, but like they're still good and they're still worth noting, or they're still meh and they're worth noting. And please forgive me if I repeat anything. I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about this stuff on our last podcast, but maybe I did. I ended up watching Cobweb. Did I mention this one already?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Doesn't
cool.
sound familiar.
So this is one that actually like came to my attention from Red Letter Media. They did like a review of it, and they were very like highly praising it. And I watched it and I dug it a lot. And then I kept seeing YouTube recommending like people being like Cobweb is the worst movie of 2023, and I was just like, all right, guys, like relax, everybody. It's a fun little like horror fairy tale, which I feel like is kind of like a subgenre that doesn't really get done a lot. But like, you know, a little reminiscent of like Pan's Labyrinth or something like that, where it's kind of in this like sort of bizarro world, but yeah, it's neat. I liked it a lot. Yeah, there was I don't know, it was very up my alley, so I dug it and I appreciated the RLM rec. Then
Every so often they come through with a good recommendation.
Yeah, exactly. I also ended up watching Bodies, 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 which I talked a little bit with James about, I think. And this is a movie that like on the surface, like if you just watch like a trailer or if you just watch like a couple minutes, like it seems like one of those insufferable Gen Z movies. But there's a point to it. And like basically like at a certain point like things clicked for me where I was like, "Oh shit." You know, like I get what's happening here and it's kind of really clever. It's sort of like And Then There Were None, but and I don't know if I should spoil it as just like a quick blurb or not, but I want to, but it's up to you guys if I should spoil this in blurb form. I don't know if y'all are
I guess it
interested.
depends on how important you think the spoilers are for people listening who would want to give it a shot.
Yeah, okay, I won't spoil it just in case somebody's listening and thinks like, "Oh, that might be kind of fun."
Yeah.
Just know that like if you're put off by the dialogue, it's not bad to the level of like Fear Street dialogue or like any of the like Netflix stuff. It's just it's very like modern kids talking kind of thing, or like, you know, they kind of talk like they're on Twitter, but like that's the point. And
Okay.
and it's done in a way that's like it's not glorifying these people, it's actually kind of criticizing them in a really clever way. So, but it doesn't do but not in a mean-spirited way either. Like it's not punching down on these people. It's just saying like, "Hey guys." So, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
Okay. Groovy.
On that note too, I since one of the actors was in this movie as well, I watched Bottoms, which was like basically sort of billed as like Superbad but for teenage lesbians. And it was really fun. It was a really fun movie. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but like it was going for a certain kind of like tone and it fucking nailed it. It was just like it was really weird and like and fun. So I recommend that one. And then the same night I watched Talk to Me, which is a horror movie about like it's basically like possession, but as a like drug metaphor.
Oh,
if that
okay.
makes sense. Yeah, and it does a really good job, and like it nails a lot of things, but it doesn't quite stick the landing.
I heard about
Bummer.
this one. The main noteworthy
Yeah.
thing that I because I haven't seen it and I don't really know much about it, but the main thing that I know about it is I guess it was created and directed or at least written by some YouTubers. And it's like
Okay.
it's actually like semi noteworthy because there's been a couple instances of in the past of YouTubers making like films, but they're normally like really bad garbage,
Really bad.
like because they don't know
Yes.
what they're doing and whatever. Like
Mhm.
I can't even remember the name of the YouTuber, but Mr. Gigi did a review of some YouTuber's horror movie where it's literally kind of like a mockumentary and it's starring him playing himself, but his next door neighbors are like creepy psychotic clowns and it's like a clown horror movie and it's like really dumb and stupid. But
Yeah.
like the main thing that I've seen a lot of people talk about, with Talk to Me is just the fact that it's like this is surprisingly good for a YouTuber horror movie. Like
Okay,
like
yeah.
surprise like
I
it's
I
way
got
beyond that
recommended this.
criteria.
I got recommended this by a friend who's really into horror. I don't know if she's that into like YouTube stuff. So her recommendation was like lukewarm on the ending as well, and I basically agreed with her where it's like it's mostly very good. It's definitely really impressive like for YouTubers, but like it's not
Sure.
I don't think it quite nails like the problem too is that I watched Bottoms and Talk to Me the same night, and Bottoms just like so nails what it's going for. Like it knows what kind of movie it is, and it's just like unapologetically like this is what we're doing, and it like sticks everything it attempts. And then this one just kind of like didn't quite do that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, so it's like it's not gonna end up on any of my lists, but because it's not like anywhere near my favorite horror movie of this year, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And specifically the like I know that the creators talked about like being inspired by like watching somebody like seize out on drugs or something like that, and that was what sort of inspired them to like do this like metaphorical thing, and it's like I can see that and in like what you're doing and like that works really well. Like that came through in a really compelling way. So
well, your thoughts on it kind of solidified me where it's like because I haven't seen the movie, but like it was one of those movies that I heard about and was like I was seeing people be positive about it and I was like, oh, I might watch this at some point, but now it's kind of like dropped a bit on the interest list of just like because I'm very particular with my time these days.
Yeah, sure. I get you. I speaking of being particular with time, I also watched Old, which is the M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yeah, it was
I heard it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yep, it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yeah, it was like I don't want to hate on the guy because that's like it's so blasé,
It's so in, yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like he's a weird one.
He is. I want to like his stuff because like
exactly like he's got a style.
Yeah, like,
and it's just his style is like rubbing everybody the wrong way. And
yeah,
it's
like I like Sixth Sense. I like Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I like Signs.
Yep.
I did not like The Village, and I haven't seen anything else he's done outside of Airbender, which is terrible.
Yeah, which is Airbender.
Yeah, and it's
I've seen like all of his movies, and like the only one I outright hated was Lady in the Water.
Oh yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
I did see
bad.
The Happening, which is which is fucking funny.
The Happening is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
So yeah, the Happening is one of the fucking funniest movies. I love the riff tracks for that too. That was like so fucking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. It was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah,
Don't watch it.
that's what
I watched
hear.
it for free, so I was like,
Yeah,
whatever.
you know, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Do it.
I also saw the live action Little Mermaid, which was bad.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty bad. I saw YMS's review about that.
Yeah.
Do they have, like, in its entirety, Poor Unfortunate Souls?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I just had to check because when the live action quote unquote Lion King remake came out,
right, and they took out Be Prepared,
and they took out Be Prepared.
Yeah,
like, you assholes. Like,
yeah.
I'm keeping a finger on the pulse about the villain songs.
Yeah,
they for the most part maintained they maintained most of Little Mermaid, and they expanded on some things that probably did need expanding on. I know the poor girl got a shit ton of flack because she's not a white person with red hair, but she was fine. She's a good singer. I just think she's not
I heard she's not that. She's fine in the role, but her
exactly. It's
her singing is fine. It's just it's kind of
she's a good singer, but she's not a good stage singer, if that makes any sense.
It does.
No,
it's the same thing
I get
that.
that.
I think it was in his Lion King review where he's talking about young Simba's singer, where it's you can if you compare it to Beauty and the Beast, you can hear the smile in her voice as she's singing.
Yes.
And
it's exactly like that, where it's the singing she's doing is great for a booth. It's great for an IP or an EP or something like that. It's great for but when you're actually up there acting and you want to act part of the song, she doesn't really do that. And it's I'm not gonna blame her because I'm sure a lot of it was the direction, but
I'm assuming there's bits of direction and other elements. I if I recall, maybe it was in Little Mermaid as well, or maybe this is just Lion King, where it's some of the songs come across as weird celebrity doing the national anthem, where they try to put their own spin on it, and it just you don't need to do that.
Where they do the warble of notes where there's only one note in the original, because it's just look how well I can sing, and it's we don't need you showing off, because then it becomes more it's more look at me, not I'm in the role and I'm it's just kind of I understand musical theater is already a leap where it's characters don't sing their fucking thoughts, but it's okay, in this world characters are singing their thoughts. So can we just make it that they're acting too? They're actually this is how they behave, and we're understanding as an audience that it's metaphorical or whatever, it's not people just burst into professionally produced soundtracks. It's I don't know. It's these Disney remakes just don't get musical theater. And they don't get why what could work with a live action adaptation, because I'm not opposed to that. Fairy tale adaptations are great.
Yeah, no, when they're done right, they can be fine.
When they're done right,
I haven't seen any of the more recent Disney remakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there being, I think this was a Disney joint, but in the mid 1990s, Disney made a live action Jungle Book movie, and I remember thinking that was fine. It was a solid movie.
I like it.
It wasn't a musical, but it was a solid movie. I don't particularly care for them, but I know there's a lot of people who like the live action 101 Dalmatians movies, with Glenn Close.
The Glenn Close ones. Yeah.
And
I didn't like them as a kid, but they're fine.
Yeah, the only more recent-ish one that I've been mildly interested in seeing was Cinderella, and that's less because of it's a live action Cinderella or whatever. It's because it's directed by Kenneth fucking Branagh, so I imagine the direction would be interesting at the very least.
Yeah.
Because he understands
he's good.
Filmcraft, and even if it's a studio project, he can still kind of inject some of his own personality in there.
One of the big reasons why I like his Agatha Christie adaptations, even though I don't agree with him 100%, is just he knows how to make movies.
Yeah.
It's even if I'm I'm not 100% sold on this Poirot portrayal. I'm still having a good time.
Yeah.
It's still cool.
Oh, and also just for the record, because I know
Mm.
Lee, you used air quotes on it, and I respect that, but I just want to make my opinion known. If you think that recent Lion King remake is live action, I'm sorry, you're dumb.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
not.
an animated movie.
Yeah.
It is an animated movie.
Yeah. The lions are 3D models. They're
Yes.
not real lions.
I don't care that they used VR to make the movie. It isn't even, as YMS pointed out, it's not even the first animated movie to use VR to make a movie.
Yes,
it's
correct.
an animated movie. I don't care if it's photorealistic. We've had photorealistic animated movies before. They just have aged and now look like shit because photorealism ages and looks like shit. There was a time when Final Fantasy The Spirits Within was considered to be somewhat photorealistic, and that movie looks like shit. There was a time when Toy Story looked really good, and as much as I love the original Toy Story, the humans in that movie look like shit.
Yes.
Like, God damn it. That conversation makes me so fucking mad.
I can tell.
Yeah. No, it's very stupid.
I saw teens react to Lion King, and every single one of them were like, "Oh, it's live action." No, it's not. It's animated. It's 3D. Is that a real lion? No.
Yeah. They're teenagers. They don't know any better.
No, they don't.
The other things, I have two more things I want to talk about very briefly. The first is I watched there's a series that Will and I have watched that came out with a new season. It's called Scissor-7. It's an animation show on Netflix. I believe it is kind of like, it's an anime, but I believe it is Chinese in origin. Will would have to correct me on that. It's really great. It's also a very weird show because like I almost really want to like kind of just show you two like the first episode of season 1 and then like the last episode of season 4 and just be like, those are the same show. Because it's kind of insane the
way it just kind of evolves.
Yeah, the way it changes. So but the basic gist of the show is that there's like a guy who like was an assassin and then like lost all of his memories and now he's like cutting hair on this island. And then it's like, oh, but a bunch of other shit starts going down. But so season 4 dropped like a couple weeks ago and Will and I watched it in like one night because they're really short episodes. They're like, I think 30 minutes a piece, and the season is only like 6 or 8 episodes long. And it was really good. They clearly got a little bit more budget. So they're able to do like flashier like scenes. So they have some really cool fight scenes that are just like really fucking dope.
I love when you can notice the dollar value kick up a notch when you're watching a show.
Yeah. It's
like,
it's very,
this is what they saved it all for.
Exactly. It's very clear that like, okay, they, you know, they're really going for it now. And also the funny thing about this season was that like the main characters actually don't play into the season that much because they were like basically like sidelined for the season for, you know, plot reasons. But it follows like a bunch of the side characters and like fleshes them out, and it's like pretty cool actually. It's kind of really neat how much of an ensemble show this is, that like even though we're no longer following our main assassin guy, it's like, oh yeah, but there's like 50 other characters that are equally interesting and cool and fun to talk to and, you know, hear from. So yeah, it's very neat. Also the OP slaps. For like every season had like a really amazing OP. The 3rd season is still my favorite, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Beautiful.
And then so the last thing I want to talk about is that because I too, like we mentioned earlier in the show, I was jonesing for more garbage to put on my worst of the year list because my list is pretty lean, and so I needed to fatten it up a little bit. And I went, you know what?
What have you done?
There's a thing that we started and bailed from because we were so like unmotivated to keep going, and I was like, I bet this is gonna suck ass. I'm gonna keep watching it. So I watched the rest of the Cowboy Bebop live action.
Oh Jesus!
Adaptation. Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. And so
what?
But I'm not gonna talk about that too much here because it's definitely ending up on my worst
list. Are
list.
you okay?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. It pissed me off, and I was like, this is terrible, right? Like this is fucking awful. But then I got to thinking, and I was like, you know what? I don't even have enough context for like to be like pissed off, because I'm only like mildly mad because I'm like, this was bad, but like it was also, it was like Netflix adaptation bad, right? Where I'm just like, whatever, they suck. I know they suck at doing this. So other than the One Piece adaptation for some reason, apparently. But yeah, I was just like, whatever. But then I was like, you know what? I've never seen the original show.
Shit.
And yeah, and I'm like, and then I noticed, I was like, oh, it's only 26 episodes.
Yep.
Oh, it's all on Netflix.
I didn't know you dove into that.
Yeah, so I watched all of the original. I haven't seen the movie yet. I know there's a movie, Cowboy Bebop, but I watched the original 26 episode run of Cowboy Bebop.
Shit.
And holy fucking shit. Like, I can't. Honestly, I'm like, how was I missing this for so long?
Right?
It's so dope.
So good. Yeah, it's like the problem is, like, I don't know if it's gonna end up on my best of list. It might, but I have consumed a lot of really good shit this year.
Sure.
So it's just like, it's definitely up there, but I don't know if it's like best of this year. But like, holy fuck, I was just like, first of all, like I adore like how well it's paced, and the fact that like the world that the show takes place in is often more at the forefront than like any of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I
it's
feel
very
like
JoJo's Part 4 in that regard.
Yes, and I feel like that's something that like doesn't happen in a lot of modern shows. Just want to be character pieces. Like they just want to be like focus on the character. Like I feel like even like Game of Thrones got into that, right? Like like I feel like most shows are just like, let's, even Lost. Lost is actually a great example where like so much of like the setting was the interesting part for people, and then they were just like, no, but all you actually really care about is the character drama. And it's like,
no, I care about this weird island.
Yeah, like that, like sure the characters are part of it, and I like figuring out their backstories, but like the island was the cool thing. Like but yeah, and it's just like it's also done in like a really subtle way where it's not like in your face like, oh, we traveled through space using these gates that do this. It's like, no, they're just fucking using the shit, and you just kind of like observe, and you're like, oh my god, like what is this stuff? And but it's just like it's all just like out there, and it's like normal. No one has to fucking explain it to, some idiot who doesn't realize what's going on. And like, yeah, it's great. Like I'm just like, this is dope. And it made me really mad for the way the characters had been depicted in the show, specifically Faye.
Yeah.
And I mean, and obviously Vicious too.
They massacred Vicious.
Yeah,
Vicious got done dirty.
Yeah, they holy shit. But the
and Ed.
Well, yeah. Ed
That's
luckily
a different issue entirely.
Yeah, exactly. Ed luckily was only there for like a single scene, but I was just like, yeah, oh my god, it was so bad. And I was like, I was really like enjoying, because I watched the English dub, and I was like, I realized like 2 episodes in that I was like, this Ed sounds really familiar, and it's because it's the voice actor for Gaz in Invader Zim, and I was like, fuck yeah.
I'm usually like, I want to say 9 times out of the 10 team subs all the way. Bebop, you gotta do English.
Yeah. That's the thing.
You gotta do English.
That is the main thing that I heard from like I heard that even the creators were like, watch it in English.
Yeah,
the English dub is like the superior version.
The sub is fantastic. Like no shame towards the sub version. It's got some great actors in it. Fucking if I remember correctly, Old Joseph's voice actor from JoJo Part 3 and 4, he's Jet. The Japanese Old Joseph is Jet, and he's fantastic. And all that, but just the dub is so fucking good. Like that was kind of back in the day. Everyone and their cat was like, every single dub sucks, and to be fair, almost all of them sucked.
Yes,
and the ones that were considered to be like good dubs were like passable dubs. But before, like, I suppose the best way to describe it is like Cowboy Bebop walked so Full Metal Alchemist could run.
Ooh,
like Bebop was the gold standard for dubs for a long time.
Yep. That's great.
Like everybody is pitch perfect fucking cast. Steve Bloom is on fucking point. Wendy Lee is fantastic as Faye. Bae Billingshea, I think is his name, is wonderful as fucking Jet. And
Bo Billingsley.
Yeah, Bo Billingsley. There we go.
Yes,
and like Bo Billingsley's voice is the main reason why most people associate Jet with being a black man. Like he's become that fucking iconic to the character and everything like that. Like,
well, he is black and he is
oh no! My God. Don't get me started.
I still want to watch the live action series at some point, even though I know I'll hate it.
That's the thing. I want to rewatch it to really solidify my hate for the list, so that I can actually go through and be like, these are all the changes that sucked for no fucking reason. That like you literally had the blueprints for brilliance handed to you on a fucking silver platter when you got this IP, and you pissed on it. You fucking animals.
Yeah. It's like
I think Faye is probably like the worst example for me, because like even though they did Vicious plenty dirty, like they like he's definitely like the most massacred character. The way they reinterpreted Faye to basically be like, oh, she needs to be more palatable to modern audiences. I'm like, that female characters can be chaotic and weird and sexy and like own it. And that's the character.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to strip every fucking female character down to like basically like round all of their edges out so that they're these perfect like little girl power statues that we can mass market to like ever. It's like fuck off, guys. Like, are you serious? We don't need her to laser focus on her tragic backstory, because that's not what the original Faye did either. She had one fucking episode where she was like, this is a terrible thing that happened to me, and then she was fucking back to trying to swindle the guys, like, and it's just like, hey, maybe let female characters be, wicked and snarky and fucking weird and
badass and funny
that way.
Yeah, she's a chaotic force of nonsense, and it's like, this is awesome.
She's a complex and flawed character, like the entire cast of Bebop.
Yep, but no, that's not allowed.
And then
we need more.
Chaotic,
we need more of a
at its best.
Yeah, we need more of a girl power message. We need her to outright be a lesbian, because that's interesting character development.
The only thing I remember from live action Bebop, outside of them doing that really stupid music edit in the second episode, is the fact that the first episode is mostly a direct adaptation of the first episode of the anime. But they crowbarred in Faye, and it feels so wrong.
Yes, that's literally half the shit is like them crowbarring in another part of Bebop just to like, and it's like, guys, you're making the universe smaller. 2, you're making it less interesting because everything's like fucking connected to each other. Yeah, there's like, so literally like Faye's whole backstory is tied into the like mom character instead, the woman who was like had those goons. They were like trying to get like a virus out.
Oh, fuck off.
So yeah, instead she's Faye's quote unquote mom as well, but she just unfroze her as part of like a scheme. And then that becomes like a big fucking character point. And then like the whole like basically like Faye hooks up with some, I don't know, some mechanic chick or something like that. And then she's just like, that's how she gets to talking about her tragic backstory of like, oh, I don't have any memories. I like basically being like, I don't think I've ever had an orgasm because I don't remember ever having an orgasm because I was frozen. And I'm like, why are we talking about this? You all suck. Like,
yeah, it's God damn it, dude. That
Like-
just hearing that makes me mad because that's clearly Western writers just being like, we need to add in sex dialogue.
we need to add we need to add in sex dialogue. We need to make her LGBTQ. We need to do all this other, and it's just like, guys, wow, no. There's a ton of I don't care if you want to make her whatever the fuck you want, but like you don't need to fucking
shoehorn in all this stuff.
You don't need to do it in the clumsiest fucking way possible.
No. Yeah.
Like if you're gonna make her like, I don't care if she's a fucking disaster lesbian, make her a disaster lesbian. Don't make her the fucking boring ass like bullshit like, oh, boo-hoo, woe is me, I have mommy issues and no memory. I'm like, shut up. Also I should clarify, I don't blame the actress.
No, it's not the actress.
Like I also think people who were like, the costume design isn't sexy enough. It's like, okay, who cares?
Look,
like whatever. I don't care.
That's one of the things to like.
If the costumes can be whatever the fuck they want, I'm mad because they didn't fucking actually make the character the character.
Yeah, like that's kind of my big thing is like the costume feels a little off, but it's not because it's not sexy. It's just it feels different. Like they still, I think. It's the color scheming of the yellow from what I remember. I don't remember too much, just outside of everything about the show being kind of miserable, outside of I thought John Cho was on point and the actor that got to play Jet was on point.
Yeah, no, Spike and Jet, like I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a different dynamic from the show, but I think that's mostly because they're much older.
Yeah.
And and because John Cho is like 40 or something.
Yeah.
Right? It's like he doesn't feel like the like kind of like really like loose, like, you know, go with the flow kind of guy that Spike feels like.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm like that's fine. So therefore it's less of a like, you know, because Jet feels very much like the like more responsible one of the two of them.
Yeah.
And like in the live action, that dynamic doesn't come through. It feels like they're more partners than sort of like the, you know, like unequal dynamic. But
the other,
so like that's the thing, you can change it, but change it for a good reason.
Yeah.
And like that, like they're really good together.
They're super good together. Their dynamic is strong. That's kind of like my other thing with like. The one thing I also remember is just how annoyed I was with how the live-action version handled Gren, who's just a minor character in 2 episodes in the anime. That one where, and just make a new character if you want this. It doesn't have, because this is not Gren. This is just you made a new character and called them Gren, and anybody who was a fan of Gren, they're not getting an adaptation of Gren. At least in this season, they mentioned, and again. I don't blame the actor for this. I blame the writers and the directing and everything like that. And there, apparently there were talks where it's like, oh, we would see Gren's backstory in season 2. It's like, I don't fucking care. Don't shoehorn in Gren this fucking early and make Gren something that Gren isn't.
Yeah. It's like, you know what would be great is if we actually like just fucking had things happen that didn't need explanation. Just interesting things happening.
Yeah.
Move the plot forward. Because guess what? The original fucking Bebop does that. Yeah. Where it doesn't sit there and go like, oh, we've just met Faye Valentine. Who is Faye Valentine? Well, let's get into that for 3 episodes. They don't fucking do that. No. They're just like, here's this character. She's here for a bit. She's fucking off now. You know, like, and we'll see her again in an episode and a half. You know, it's just like,
here's Radical Edward. Radical Edward is weird, but charming in Ed's own way. And here's Ein, best dog.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, and it's I like, as somebody who again hasn't seen live action Bebop and the entirety of it, and I don't know if it even attempts to tackle some of the episodes. I can't even, just the little I've seen, I can't see live action Bebop hitting any of the same almost tear-jerking moments that the original anime had. Like the episode where there was that dude who like was doing crimes so he could get like a plant to cure his sister who was like becoming blind. That episode is such a fucking downer of an ending. Or Ed's departure, set to call me, as she's just leaving the Bebop to like follow her father and Ein leaves with her. It's such a fucking downer. And like, because of the fact that I know live action Bebop doesn't introduce Ed until like the post-credit scene of season 1 as a stinger for season 2. But even if they did get a stinger season 2, I don't think they would ever be able to.
I believe they got canceled.
They did.
They sure did.
They got canceled like a month after season 1 dropped.
Yeah.
Like this,
because good fucking riddance.
This was arguably the easiest fucking thing they could have tried to adapt.
Yeah.
Like One Piece, I haven't seen One Piece, but One Piece is fucking weird, right? It's got dudes with stretchy arms, and it's very anime centric, right? A lot of anime is very anime. Bebop is basically like the de facto, you don't like anime, but you'll probably still like fucking Bebop sort of experience. Like Emu even jokes that Bebop is the only good anime because it's like it's so radically different, and it transcends like 90% of the anime tropes that were going on at the time, right? And it's got a legendary OST and sick fucking animation and great voice acting and great direction and goddamn.
The only thing I could see being like more challenging for a live action adaptation, in terms of like, you know, between this and like One Piece, is that it's all set in space, and there's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of like weird like spaceship stuff, and there are scenes of like spaceships fighting and stuff like that where it's like,
they'd be expensive.
Yeah, on a live action budget, or trying to make that quote unquote live action where you're like, oh yeah, like we're making this look like real human beings actually exist in this space. Probably impossible. So they couldn't adapt it 1-to-1 exactly.
Sure.
But like that's still not an excuse to like completely be like, oh, we're gonna snip this out of here and inject it into this story and do this other thing. It's just like
the little I saw, it really felt like the writers behind the original or the live action series just they didn't care for or didn't do their homework or just they didn't give a shit about the source material that they were adapting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway.
So thanks for suffering through the live action so I don't have to.
Yeah, you're welcome. I can talk more about it. Did you know that Spike and Vicious talk about shaving their balls in one scene?
Oh, beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted.
It's great.
Lee, you and I have to suffer through this. We have to do it.
You're right. We got to shave our balls together.
Yeah.
Yeah, just what I needed is Vicious being mutilated more. Vicious is such a simple villain, but he's so fucking effective and menacing. And the little I saw of him in live action is just he's a fucking whiny bitch.
Yeah, he's awful. And God, don't get me started on how much they added to fucking Julia, where you're just like, why, guys? Why? There's no fucking reason that this is a thing. Just stop.
just fucking cut it out. Just cut it out.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
On that note.
Yeah.
You watch Dragon Ball Evolution or something?
Jesus Christ. Look, I'm a bit of a masochist, but not that much.
Well, I suppose unless we have anything else that this will about do it.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Two fine pieces of media that we encourage people to check out, and
a lot of corn.
And the other one about corn.
The other three.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking
about. They all blend
together. What do you mean?
you love corn.
We do love corn. We here at the Gooncast proudly endorse corn.
You heard it here, folks. We're casting in on the debate.
in the corn political spectrum.
Mhm.
Anyway, Cat, aka the Attack Cat on Twitch. I don't really stream anymore at all, but I don't know. I'll be around at least for Saber's streams when we do Mermaid Swamp is I think the next one
Oh Christ.
that I'm gonna do. Help
This one's
voice
supposed to be really
stuff.
good. It's highly recommended,
Yeah.
actually, Lee.
Yeah, so
I just something about the name.
yeah.
And naturally, this has been your boy Lee Alder, the Valley Jester, the Bodhisattva of Booba. You can catch me at twitch.tv/Valley Jester. I occasionally pop on to stream some Honkai Star Rail, but that's about it. And if you are a member of Saber's Discord channel, tune in for if this episode is posted by then, it's going to be either Saturday the 28th or Sunday the 29th. I will be teaming up with friend of the podcast, Gina Talks, and we will be doing the legendary Bible Black stream.
Oh shit.
It's happening, degenerates.
Oh my
It's
god.
happening. And we need more people to come in for that because we need to pull the corpse party effect on it and get people voice acting.
Oh, God.
Oh, amazing.
And
right.
Yes, Saber, you don't need to ask. You can be Saiki.
Oh, no. Anyways, this has been Cat, I Hate You. You know where to find me. Everybody get fucked.
And go out and cast your votes. The corn needs your support.
Corn.
Hold on. Wait, 1 second. I think... Hold on. Let me say this real quick. No, that's full. I think Renzi has something to say real quick.
Poo-poo. Poo-poo caca. Goo-goo gaga.
Thanks, Renzi.